Who should be held responsible for the deadly train derailment in New York City? The operator involved in the crash was suspended without pay after investigators found out he apparently nodded off before the crash. Well, now we're learning the train was equipped with an alert system to warn inattentive engineers, but it was on the other end of the train. Doug Burns is a former federal prosecutor, Lise Wheel, Fox News legal analyst, and Keith Sullivan, a defense attorney, part of our Legal Eagle panel today. All right, so I read your notes. Could it be now that the onus is going to not be on the engineer, Doug, but is going to be on the MTA, the train company?
Well, we have what's called respondeat superior in Latin, which is causing the...
Bring out the Latin words.
Yeah, right. I actually don't...
Thanks, Doug.
I don't bring out Latin that much. But no, respondeat superior obviously is where you hold the entity responsible for the conduct of the individual employee. And my learned colleagues here will explain to you that if the employee is off on a lark or something outside the scope of the employment, then you can't hold the parent responsible. But if it's
what does that mean? If you're out on a lark, if you fall asleep?
Let's say I'm a bus driver. No, and I park the bus and I go off to buy donuts and this and that, and I do something wrong. You can't hold the bus because they're responsible.
But this is not what happened here. This time, the conductor was actually, he fell asleep. He had highway hypnosis, allegedly, highway hypnosis, whatever it was. But there were other factors that point to the MTA as well. You just mentioned the alerter system being on one side, not the other. Well, they knew. See, here's the thing. If they knew they needed the alerter system, which all trains should have, and Congress has actually said they should all have them by 2015, then they don't just put it in one side or the other when the train goes back and forth like this.
So it was on 50% of the train. Had it been there, it would have shut down itself without the engineer. But here's my question for you, Keith, which is, could this engineer, hypothetically, be building some sort of a defense here? Could he be prosecuted so that he says, look, I fell asleep? Does that change a potential charge against him from, I don't know, what would it be, manslaughter to something else?
Involuntary manslaughter, that's what it would be. It's something that they're going to look into. What was he doing in the hours and the days leading up to that work shift? They came back and said that there was no drugs or alcohol in his system. But if he was sleep deprived and he got behind a train, he has some culpability there. And the MTA, which is the parent company for the Metro North, which runs the train line, Metro North is the subsidiary, is not going to be absolved here either. As Lise just pointed out, they installed these safety measures and opted not to install it properly on both ends of the train. It's a push-pull system.
It's tragic no matter how you look at it.
They kept a 90-degree turn.
Four people died, and they kept a 90-degree turn as well. All right, 2 police officers are in hot water after cracking down on a school bus full of kids. Apparently the kids, they were getting rowdy. I assume that happens frequently on buses. And the driver couldn't control them, so she pulled over and called police. Listen to how the responding officers decided to handle it.
Can't focus on what she's doing? What if she flips the bus over or hits somebody? You think it's funny? Hide in your face. Yeah. Look at me like a man. You want to grow up and be a man? Look at me like a man. You got no tolerance for this. Because she expects more out of 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
All right, so a lot of bleeps there, so we can assume what the police officers are saying. They have been, suspended. They're in trouble, right? Lise, right or wrong move?
I think it's the right move because, yes, I understand the bus driver pulling over. I understand kids get unruly. I'm sure you never were. Nobody here in the present company was unruly on a bus, but whatever. Understand her pulling over. Understand her calling the cops. Got all of that. But then actually, she swore as well. Then the cops to swear at the kids, that's undermining their authority. Wrong. They should be suspended.
Okay, Keith?
Gretchen, give those officers a medal. We need more officers like that out there.
I'm horrified.
Look, we just covered a story where people were killed because an operator of a train fell asleep and was distracted. Here we have kids whose lives are in danger because other kids are acting up, such that she had to pull over, threaten to call the cops, pull over again, actually call the cops. Look at those other kids. Other than the one punk who's arguing back, they're silent and they're paying attention.
I don't know how teachers do it, and I don't know how bus drivers do it. Doug, 10 seconds.
Perfectly acceptable to come in, lecture them, be a man, football coach, A to Z. But you can't curse at them. That's stupid.
All right.
They are the police, after all.
I got to wrap it there, but let me know what you think about that story. Legal panel, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Manhattan